Here we go. Nick the Greek. We're back. This is going to be a short and fast, rapid fire 3 questions with the VP of Research ML of Relational AI in regards to the Snowflake Summit, which is upon us. I think it's June 2nd to the 5th in San Francisco. So, Nick, quick question to kick it off. If you could have every attendee of the Snowflake Summit take away kind of one thing about relational AI, what would that thing be and why?
Excellent. First of all, I feel a bit retro. I keep calling myself Research ML. Maybe I should make it Research AI, but that's
Go
fine.
for it. Go for it. Change it
No,
up.
that's fine. Kind of like shows my age. We started early. Anyway, if stay tuned, relational AI is coming very strong. You're going to see a lot of things in the coming year, and if there is something to get out of, there's a lot of things, but I'll just like stick to the stuff that I'm doing. I feel like we're gonna lower the bar of Gen AI inside the Snowflake ecosystem even more. We are taking Cortex and we're making it Cortex++. So I think you're gonna see some really intuitive ways of using Gen AI to get big ROIs and boost your productivity and your operations by using relational AI. So I feel like the Legos are kind of like clicking into our head and into our product right now. I feel like we have a lot of things to show over there.
I love that. And I'm going to build on that one with the second question of 3. What technology trend are you most excited about talking to various folks about at the summit and or learning about? That would be second question.
So I think everybody talks about agents, and agents are everywhere. I think we're living if it's like the 007 reborn again. If you think about it, that's where it comes from. They were highly efficient, specialized humans to do superhuman things. And I just like missed the guy. Who was the guy who wrote I can remember right now. But anyway, so agentic AI is definitely something really cool. But there's this problem. Why does it mean? What does it mean? What does agentic AI mean? And what does it mean for you as a company? I think the biggest application of Gen AI. So if you call that technology, so it's a subset of Gen AI, is like building knowledge graphs, taking structured and unstructured data and once and for all automating that process for your company. I think we're becoming much better. We, as relational AI, learn more by interacting with customers, and we see a big traction in the market. Like there's a lot of interest. Like people really want that. I think what's going to happen is interesting. When Google did the things, not strings, and they started creating the first knowledge graph, and they created this block on the side of the search results. I think this is what's going to happen on every company. It took about 13 years. 13 years. But now I think every company will be able to present this knowledge graph representation for every question people are asking. It's going to have images, audio, and of course text, and everything. But I think we're recreating that, seminal, if you want, revolutionary graph box that Google is giving to you for everyone. We're democratizing that, if you want to.
Nailed it. Last question, and I love that you went with the things, not strings. But last question. So you do a great job of storytelling, and I'm not just saying that because we're being recorded here, but you do a great job of storytelling. And the last time we spoke, there were a bunch of different comparisons, connecting dots with the books you've read and some trends in California and so on and so forth. And I think the question I'd love to ask, the last one is for you, Nick, when you talk with folks and you help the light bulb go on in their mind around knowledge graph and relational AI, How does that most frequently happen for you? And why do you think the light bulb, once it goes on, it kind of never goes off?
There's two things that came recently. Like I found them as I was, the key thing is talking to customers and taking your product and getting feedback. You know how Moham, our CEO, says relational always wins? I want to take it a step further. It says database always wins. And I explained this. Like this was a light bulb moment. So you know that I've been working on GraphRag and we posted things on the Solution Center. So we started building GraphRag and everybody thought that the knowledge graph is kind of like a secondary index. Like, okay, a different way of mixing your information, indexing your information is by building a knowledge graph. And people really were pushing on the question answer. Like eventually we need to retrieve the text to answer the questions. Now you'd be surprised, you know, 4.5 out of 5 customers, literally, they don't want to answer the questions from the text. They want to answer from the knowledge graph. So essentially, people always, you know how they say people always lean towards chaos? I think companies always like lean or try to lean towards structure. So they find more value taking, on the knowledge graph that you're building and say, well, try to make your knowledge graph better and better and better. And don't worry, I'll help you to make it simpler, but better, more accurate. Because in the end, I want you to answer the questions from the knowledge graph. Like I want to execute a formal query. It could be as simple as like a few columns. Like I have a text column on my database, create another 5 that they have these 5 entities. And that's great. You can execute a SQL query, or it can be more complicated where you need, a formal reasoning like the framework that we have, And so people eventually they want to push everything back to the database. There's a company we're working on and takes the whole blockchain and puts it in the database. It's funny because then you can't query blockchain easily. So I see this convergence back to the database, which kind of like doubles down on the bet that Snowflake made, this cloud database. So it still remains a central point of attraction. And since you like history, I just want to mention that the Google founders that didn't come from, the AI or ML group of Stanford or any, they came from the database group. It was an attempt to index and query, different type of data. And eventually they made it look like a database, or they got close, or they expanded, if you want, the scope of databases. So I never liked that, because it was always on the other side, and I hated when, it was always the databases. The database built the application, the database, like people index the web. It's always the database. Now I'm on the other side. Now the database people are kind of like trying to dominate and put structure in the AI world. It's a great thing, structure is not bad. So I tried to ask a light bulb moment, and why it continues to stay on is because whatever you do eventually, boils down to the database. So there's another aha moment
That's it.
over there.
That's it. And you can't unsee it once you see it. And so thank you, Nik. We appreciate it. And we're going to revisit after the summit, June 2nd to the 5th. After you have that experience, we'll revisit this again. And thank you as always. Your storytelling is phenomenal. And we'll add some links to the video to make sure that folks that love history like us can also look into some of these topics that we just discussed. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Let's hope that the history would help us predict the future better now.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. All right.
Take care.